Mason Clark watched the alien creatures move around him. His heart beat fast as the Xelarians built a wooden platform. He knew what it was for. They were going to burn him alive. The air felt cold in the large stone chamber. The walls were covered with strange symbols that glowed blue in the dim light. Mason tried to stand tall despite the heavy chains on his wrists and ankles. "Your crime cannot be forgiven," said Grand Arbiter Kizik, the leader of the Xelarian group. His insect-like face showed no emotion as he spoke. "Human ignorance is not an excuse." Mason thought back to what had happened. He was only a junior diplomat, sent to help with the trade talks. Nobody told him that walking on the sacred purple floor tiles was forbidden to non-Xelarians. It was a simple mistake. Now they wanted to make him an example. "Please," said Mason, "this will damage relations between our worlds. Earth will not stand for this." The Grand Arbiter made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Your Earth is weak. Your species is young. You joined the Galactic Confederation only 20 years ago. You must learn your place." 4 Xelarian guards grabbed Mason and dragged him to the wooden platform. The smell of strange oils filled his nose as they tied him to a post in the center. Mason knew the neural implant in his head was recording everything. Every diplomat from Earth had one. His final moments would be sent back home. He wondered what Earth would do when they saw this. Would they bow to the Confederation's power, or would they fight back? As the first flames began to rise around his feet, Mason thought of his family back on Earth. His wife Lena, his daughter Kate, who just turned 3. He would never see them again. "Remember," said the Grand Arbiter as he watched, "this is the price of disrespect in the Confederation. Your species must learn this lesson." Mason felt the heat growing stronger. The pain started, but he pressed his lips together tightly. He would not scream. He would not give them that satisfaction. Through the rising smoke, he saw the dozen Xelarian officials watching him with their compound eyes. None of them moved to help. None showed any sign of mercy. In his final moments of consciousness, Mason activated a special function in his neural implant. He sent a personal message along with the recording. "Don't let them do this to anyone else." The flames grew higher. The pain became too much. But before darkness took him, Mason had one final thought that also transmitted through his implant. "They don't understand humans. They don't know what they've done." Across the stars, on Earth, the message arrived at military headquarters. The neural recording played on screens in the crisis room, where Admiral Ellen Rivera and other military leaders watched in horror. When the recording ended, the room was silent. Then Admiral Rivera spoke in a voice cold as space itself. "They think this will make us submit," she said. "They're wrong. This changes everything." She turned to her staff. "Activate the Black Horizon Protocol. Immediately." The Xelarians had made a terrible mistake. They had shown the galaxy what they were willing to do to humans. Now humanity would show the galaxy what they were willing to do in return. Admiral Ellen Rivera stood at the head of the long table in the Pentagon's crisis room. The screens around her showed the faces of worried officials. Nobody spoke. They had all just watched Mason Clark die in flames. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite her anger. The room filled with the horrible images once more. Mason tied to a post. The flames rising. His final message: "Don't let them do this to anyone else." President Olivia Bennett rubbed her tired eyes. "They sent this recording to us on purpose. They wanted us to see this." "Yes," said Frank Wilson, the communications director. "The Xelarians broadcast it on all diplomatic channels. They're sending us a message." "They expect us to be afraid," said Admiral Rivera. She pointed to the star map displayed on the main screen. "They don't understand humans at all." Defense Secretary Nathan Powell leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" Rivera's eyes were cold and hard. "For 20 years, we've followed their rules. We limited our technology. We stayed within our assigned space. We played nice. And this is how they treat us. The Confederation has 300 member species, Powell reminded her. Many of them have been spacefaring for thousands of years. We can't fight them all. We won't have to, Rivera replied. She touched her tablet, and the star map zoomed in on the Xelarian home system. We just need to show them what happens when they harm one of our own. President Bennett stood up and walked to the window. Outside, regular people went about their day, not knowing what had happened millions of miles away, not knowing that everything was about to change. You're talking about war, the president said quietly. I'm talking about justice, Rivera answered, and making sure no human is ever treated this way again. The president turned back to face the room. What exactly do you propose? Admiral Rivera pressed another button on her tablet. A file marked Black Horizon appeared on all screens. Most people in the room looked confused. They had never seen this file before. What is this? Asked the president. When we joined the Confederation, we agreed to limit our military technology, Rivera explained. But we never stopped developing it. We just kept it hidden. She opened the file to reveal designs for weapons and ships far more advanced than anything Earth had shown to the Confederation. Project Prometheus, she continued. Our real fleet, our real weapons, hidden in underground bases for 20 years, waiting for the day we might need them. The room was silent as officials studied the images. Ships with stealth systems the Confederation couldn't detect. Weapons that could disable entire defense networks without harming civilians. The Xelarians think we're weak, Rivera said. They think we'll accept this murder and bow our heads. They're wrong. President Bennett studied the files carefully. How quickly can these be deployed? The systems are ready. The ships have been built in secret. We can launch within days. The president closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her decision was made. Contact Dr. Samantha Wright at the Black Horizon facility. Tell her to activate Project Prometheus. She looked around the room at the faces of her advisors. And prepare a message for our people. They need to know what happened to Mason Clark, and they need to know that we will not let it stand. Admiral Rivera nodded. And the Confederation. What do we tell them? Nothing, said the president. They'll get our message soon enough. As the meeting ended, Rivera looked once more at Mason's final moments frozen on the screen. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy, she said quietly. We're about to teach them theirs. Dr. Samantha Wright drove her car through 3 security checkpoints to reach the hidden entrance in the Appalachian Mountains. Each guard checked her ID carefully, more carefully than they had in years. Everyone was on high alert now. The mountains seemed normal from the outside. Trees covered its slopes. Birds sang in the branches. But deep inside was humanity's greatest secret, the Black Horizon facility. Samantha pressed her hand against a hidden scanner. A section of rock slid open silently. She drove inside, and the mountain closed behind her. Underground, the facility was massive, 20 levels deep, stretching for miles. Most of it had been quiet for years. Not anymore. Dr. Wright greeted Colonel Jeff Bailey as she stepped out of her car. Admiral Rivera called. Everyone is waiting for you. They walked quickly through long corridors. Everywhere, people were moving with purpose. The sleeping giant was waking up. How many know about this place? Samantha asked. Less than 200 people on Earth, Jeff answered. The Confederation thinks our most advanced technology is what we've shown them. They have no idea what we've been building down here. They entered the main control room, where screens showed various sections of the facility. Samantha used her special key card and spoke her password to unlock the master systems. Voice pattern recognized, said the computer. Project Prometheus access granted. Samantha took a deep breath. Begin full activation sequence. Authorization Write 7 Delta 9. Lights flickered throughout the facility as power surged into systems that had been dormant for 2 decades. Behind thick glass walls, huge manufacturing chambers hummed to life. How long until we're ready? Jeff asked. Samantha studied the displays. The first wave of drones can deploy in 3 days. The stealth ships are ready now. They just need crews. The defense bypass weapons need final calibration. Her tablet pinged with a message from Admiral Rivera. How soon? Samantha typed back. First wave in 72 hours. Complete deployment in 2 weeks. The reply came instantly. Accelerate. Mason Clark deserves nothing less. Samantha turned to her team of engineers and scientists. Most had spent their careers working in secret, building technology that no one outside these walls knew existed. You all know what happened to Mason Clark, she said. Her voice echoed in the large room. For 20 years, we've hidden our true capabilities from the Confederation. We played by their rules while preparing for the day they might turn on us. That day has come. She walked to a large window overlooking an enormous hangar. Below, row after row of advanced ships stood ready, sleek, black vessels unlike anything Earth had shown to the galaxy. These ships can bypass any defense system the Confederation has, she explained. Our weapons can disable their military without harming civilians. Our drones can infiltrate their networks and shut down their communications. One of the younger engineers raised his hand. Dr. Wright, are we really going to war with the entire Confederation? No, she replied. Just with those who think they can burn our people alive and expect us to do nothing. The Exilarians will learn first. The rest of the Confederation will watch and learn. In the manufacturing chambers, the first combat drones took shape. Small, nearly invisible to sensors, and deadly effective. They would enter Exilarian systems undetected and disable their defenses before they knew what was happening. Samantha checked the production timeline again. Colonel, tell Admiral Rivera we can have the first strike team ready in 48 hours, not 72. As activity increased around her, Samantha looked at the image of Mason Clark on her tablet. They thought we were weak, she whispered. They had no idea what we're capable of. Captain Laura Daniels sat in the command chair of the UES Retribution. The ship moved silently through space, completely invisible to all known detection systems. Behind her ship, 29 other vessels followed in perfect formation. None of them officially existed. Until today. Distance to Exilarian homeworld? Laura asked. Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez checked his screen. 30 minutes at current speed, Captain. Laura nodded. Her crew was tense but focused. They had trained for years in secret for a mission they hoped would never come. Now they were about to reveal humanity's true power to the galaxy. Status report, she ordered. All systems running silent, reported Carlos. Their orbital stations show no signs of detecting us. Laura studied the tactical display. The Exilarian homeworld looked peaceful from space. Its 3 moons reflected light onto the blue-green planet. Orbital stations and defense platforms circled it like silent guardians. Those defenses were considered among the strongest in the Confederation. The Exilarians had been spacefaring for over 2,000 years. They thought their world was safe. They were wrong. Weapons check, Laura ordered. All precision strike missiles ready, replied Weapons Officer Diane Foster. Neural disruptors charged. Defense suppression drones prepped for launch. Laura opened a channel to all 30 ships in the fleet. This is Captain Daniels. In 20 minutes, we will conduct the first military action against a Confederation power. Remember your training and remember why we're here. She paused as Mason Clark's face appeared briefly on her personal screen. This is not about revenge, she continued. This is about justice and making sure the Confederation understands that humans are not to be tormented for their amusement or political gain. Throughout the fleet, crews prepared for battle. But this would not be a battle in the traditional sense. The Exilarians would have no chance to fight back. Entering strike range in 5 minutes, announced Carlos. Below them, the Exilarian capital city spread across a continent. Tall crystal towers reached toward the sky. In one of those towers, the decision had been made to burn Mason Clark alive. Deploy first wave of drones, Laura ordered. Small, dart-like objects left the ships, streaking toward the planet's surface. These drones carried no explosives. They carried something more powerful, the ability to shut down Solarian technology. Drones have reached their targets, reported Communications Officer Lisa Grant after a few minutes. Beginning system infiltration. On screens around the bridge, the crew watched as Solarian defense systems began to shut down one by one. Communication networks went dark. Military bases lost power. "Second wave ready," said Diane. "Launch," ordered Laura. More drones left the ships, targeting specific buildings, military headquarters, weapons facilities, and government centers. Again, there were no explosions, no destruction. Just Solarian systems going dark as human technology overwhelmed them. "The Grand Arbiter's tower has been located," Lisa announced. "Their leadership is gathered for some kind of ceremony." Laura felt a cold satisfaction. "Target precision strike missiles on that location. Non-lethal only. I want them captured, not killed." "Missiles away," confirmed Diane. Within minutes, reports came back from the surface. The entire Solarian military command structure was neutralized. Their leaders were unconscious, ready to be taken into custody. Their weapons were disabled. Their ships were powerless. And they never even knew they were under attack until it was over. Laura opened a channel to Earth. "Admiral Rivera, this is Captain Daniels. Operation Righteous Fire is complete. The Solarian military capability has been neutralized with minimal casualties. Awaiting further orders." The response came quickly. "Well done, Captain. Secure the planet and prepare for Phase 2. Laura looked at the Solarian world on her screen. In less than an hour, one of the oldest and most powerful species in the Confederation had been defeated. And the galaxy was about to learn just how dangerous it was to harm a human. Ambassador Ryan Martinez walked slowly into the Great Hall of the Confederation Assembly. The huge room was filled with representatives from 300 alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange they barely seemed alive. All of them fell silent as Ryan approached the speaking platform. 3 days had passed since the Solarian homeworld was defeated. News had spread quickly through the galaxy. Now, all eyes were on the human ambassador. Ryan wore a simple black suit with a small pin showing Earth's flag. He carried no weapons, but he didn't need any. The power behind his words was enough. "Representatives of the Galactic Confederation," he began. His voice was calm but carried to every corner of the vast chamber. "For 20 years, humanity has been a member of this organization. We came seeking friendship and cooperation." He paused, looking around the room. Many delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Instead, we found a system where the strong bully the weak, where ancient species look down on younger ones, where a diplomat can be burned alive for accidentally walking on the wrong floor tiles." Ryan touched a control on the podium. Above him, a large screen appeared showing Mason Clark's final moments. The terrible images played for all to see. Mason tied to a post, flames rising around him, refusing to scream even as he died. Shocked sounds filled the chamber. Some delegates covered their eyes or sensing organs. Others watched in horror. "This was not justice," Ryan continued when the recording ended. "This was not diplomacy. This was cruelty, approved by this very assembly. The Grand Arbiter who ordered this sits on your High Council." Ryan's eyes hardened. Or rather, he did. As of 3 days ago, the Solarian government no longer exists as a functioning entity. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates turned to each other, clicking and buzzing and whispering in hundreds of different languages. The president of the assembly, a tall blue-skinned being, banged his gavel for order. "Ambassador Martinez," the president said, "are you claiming responsibility for the attack on the Solarian homeworld?" "It was not an attack," Ryan corrected. "It was justice. And yes, humanity is responsible. We disabled their military capability with minimal loss of life. Their leaders are now in custody, awaiting trial for their crimes against Mason Clark and others." He straightened his shoulders. Humanity hereby announces our immediate withdrawal from the Galactic Confederation. The noise in the chamber grew even louder. This was unprecedented. No species had ever willingly left the Confederation in its 5,000-year history. We will not seek territory beyond our current holdings, Ryan continued. We will not interfere with legitimate trade or diplomacy between worlds. We wish to live in peace. His voice grew stronger. But know this, any act of aggression against human worlds or citizens will be met with the same response the Xelarians received. Any species that harms a human being will face our full technological and military capability, which, as you now see, is far greater than what we revealed when joining the Confederation. Ryan looked slowly around the room, meeting the eyes or visual organs of as many delegates as he could. We came in peace, he said finally. Remember that you chose what came after. With those words, he stepped away from the podium. The chamber remained silent as he walked down the central aisle toward the exit. Just before reaching the door, a voice called out, "How can a young species like yours possess such advanced technology?" asked the delegate from the Merle hegemony. "You have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries." Ryan paused and turned. "Because we spent most of our history fighting each other," he said simply. "We hoped we had left that behind when we joined you. We were wrong." Then he walked out, leaving the stunned representatives of the galaxy's oldest civilization to consider what humanity had become. High Chancellor Velox paced nervously in the Confederation Security Council chamber. The tall, thin alien's normally blue skin had turned a pale gray with worry. Around the circular table sat the 12 most powerful leaders in the galaxy, each representing major species or alliances. "This emergency session will come to order," Velox announced, taking his seat. The images on the main screen showed the Xelarian homeworld. Their once proud military bases stood empty. Their defense systems remained offline. Their leaders were prisoners of the humans. All accomplished in less than 1 day by a species considered young and weak. "How did we not know?" demanded Delegate Tiskel, her insect-like mandibles clicking rapidly. "How did they hide such technology from us?" Admiral Prelna, the military expert on the council, touched controls on her console. New images appeared, showing captured human ships and weapons. "The humans never actually lied to us," she explained. Her voice was deep and melodic. "They showed us some of their technology when they joined the Confederation, but they kept their most advanced systems secret." "Impossible," said Tezkel. "Our inspection teams visit all member worlds. Our psychic evaluators can detect deception." Admiral Prelna shook her elongated head. "The technology they showed us was real. Their commercial ships and public military forces use exactly what they claimed, but they maintained a separate, hidden program of development." She zoomed in on images of the human stealth ships. "Their commercial vessels follow our standards, but these ships operate on completely different principles. They're undetectable to our sensors." The council members whispered among themselves. This was deeply troubling. "How could a species so young develop such technology?" asked a representative from a gas giant world. His voice came through a translator box. "Humans have only been in space for about 200 years. Most of us had interstellar travel for thousands of years before reaching their level." Admiral Prelna brought up new data on the screen. "I've been studying human history. Their technological development followed a very different path than most species." The screen showed images of human wars throughout history. "Most species developed technology primarily for exploration, commerce, or artistic expression," she continued. "Humans developed much of theirs through conflict. They've spent most of their history fighting each other." The council chamber grew silent as the implications became clear. "They don't advance gradually like we do," Prelna explained. "They make huge leaps during times of conflict. Their world wars produced amazing technological progress in just a few years. Their Cold War created computers, advanced physics, and space travel in mere decades." High Chancellor Velox leaned forward. "You're saying that their warlike nature gave them an advantage?" "Exactly," said Prelna. "We assumed older species would always be more advanced. That's the foundation of our entire power structure. But humans found shortcuts through conflict that our peaceful development never needed. What does this mean for the Confederation? Asked another delegate. Prelna's expression was grim. It means our assumptions were wrong. Humans aren't powerful because they're more intelligent than us. They're powerful because they've been preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. It's in their nature. Siskel's mandibles twitched nervously. Should we prepare for war? They've already defeated the Xelarians. No, said Admiral Prelna firmly. The humans could have destroyed the Xelarians completely. Instead, they disabled their military with minimal casualties. They're not interested in conquest. Then what do they want? Asked Velox. Prelna looked at the images of human ships once more. Exactly what their ambassador said. To be left alone. To not be treated as inferior. And most importantly, to never again see one of their people harmed as Mason Clark was. The council chamber fell silent again as each member considered this new reality. The galaxy had changed forever. The hierarchy that had stood for thousands of years was crumbling, and it had all started because one human was burned alive. 5 years passed since the day Mason Clark died in flames. Earth had changed. The galaxy had changed too. President Olivia Bennett sat in a garden overlooking the Pacific Ocean. White flowers bloomed around her, and the blue water stretched to the horizon. Admiral Ellen Rivera joined her, carrying a tablet with the day's reports. It's a beautiful evening, said the president. Admiral Rivera nodded as she took a seat. The Praxians have asked to join our defense alliance, she said, looking at her tablet. That makes 17 species now. What did you tell them? Asked Bennett. I said yes. They're a peaceful species. They were bullied by the Confederation for centuries. They need protection. The president smiled. And how did the Confederation respond? The usual empty threats. They don't dare do more than that now. Rivera looked up at the sky. In the fading light, the new orbital defense platforms were just becoming visible as tiny, moving stars. President Bennett followed her gaze. I wonder what Mason would think of all this, of what his death started. He died trying to make peace, Rivera said quietly. In a strange way, that's happening now. Not how anyone expected, but it's happening. She touched her tablet again, bringing up new images. Across the galaxy, things were changing. Smaller, weaker species that had been exploited for centuries were finding their voices. The powerful species that once ruled the Confederation no longer controlled everything. The Xelarians are rebuilding, Rivera said. Under their new government, they've become more open, more fair. Because we showed them the cost of cruelty, said Bennett. Yes, and the lesson spread throughout the galaxy without us having to fight anyone else. Around Earth's solar system, ships from dozens of worlds now traveled freely. Some came to trade. Others came to learn. All treated humans with new respect. On distant planets, species that had never dared stand up to the ancient powers were building new relationships. New alliances formed. Old enemies began talking. Ambassador Martinez reports that 6 more species may leave the Confederation next year, Rivera said. They want to form their own coalition. They've asked for our help. What will you recommend? Asked Bennett. That we help them, not with weapons, but with knowledge, with support. The galaxy is changing, and we can help guide that change. The sun sank lower, painting the sky with red and gold. A ship took off from the nearby spaceport, rising quickly toward the stars. 5 years ago, we thought we were just one small species in a huge galaxy, the president said. We tried to fit in, to follow their rules. We were wrong, Rivera replied. We didn't need to make ourselves smaller to fit in. We needed to show them who we really are. And who are we? Admiral. Conquerors. Warriors. Rivera shook her head. No, we're humans. We want peace, but we'll fight with everything we have to protect our own. The galaxy needed to understand that. As darkness fell, more ships became visible moving through the solar system. Earth had become a center of trade and diplomacy, not because of conquest, but because of something else, a reputation for both strength and fairness. Mason Clark didn't die for nothing, President Bennett said softly. His sacrifice changed everything. Admiral Rivera nodded. The Confederation thought burning one human would teach us to be afraid. Instead, it taught the galaxy to respect us. In the years since that terrible day, not one human had been harmed by any alien species. Not one human world had been threatened. The message had been received across the stars, spreading from world to world. Humans came in peace. They preferred friendship. They offered fair trade and honest diplomacy. But harm one of them, and you would face the wrath of them all. It was a simple lesson, and now the entire galaxy understood it well.